Welcome to Denome and welcome to this crypto update. Today's update is a juicy one because retail investors are here. We're seeing new treasury strategies for altcoins. We saw a $1.5 billion investment into WLFI token. We have some interesting changes in geopolitics, but I will actually talk about that at the end because I know some people are not interested in that. So I will strictly talk about crypto first, then obviously talk about the fundamentals, technical analysis, and then I will leave the geopolitical analysis at the end because it does affect crypto, but I know some people are not interested in my takes on that, so I will leave it at the end. Then I will leave it also in the timestamps if you want to do that. Anyway, Bitcoin is pumping up. We took the liquidation zone here. We had a pullback, and now I think we head for that 130K this week, next week, and the week after. I don't know how long it will take, but 130K by the end of August is basically what I'm expecting before the launch of WLFI token. Now, the WLFI token will launch basically by the mid of September. So if my time frame of 130K doesn't hit this month, then I will just push it to basically the start of next month. I believe Bitcoin will hit 130K before WLFI token launches because Trump wants to pump crypto. The large investors want to pump crypto. Hedge funds want to pump crypto. So the plan now is to suck in the retail investors. And throughout this weekend, we saw retail investors flocking into crypto because the altcoins were pumping like crazy over the weekend. For example, my favorite token that I've told you guys for a long time, LDO, even in my last episode, the price of LDO was about 90 cents. Now it went up already over 50% from there. So congratulations to anybody who was in the LDO trade. Now I have taken profits because I believe that LDO has to basically break out of this trend line here first for it to be interesting to me again. So there might be like a small move to the upside here to this trend line, and once it breaks, I don't know, I don't really care how it breaks, but once it breaks basically $1.8, and then it will head for higher numbers, $3, and my basically my big plan for is to basically hit this all-time high here at about $6 for LDO. But at $3, you probably want to have exited most of your LDO by then. So we're basically halfway there by now. But anyway, as of now, LDO is not that interesting because it just had this major pump to the upside. I have taken massive profits out of it, and I will be expecting a breakout here, and then I will basically re-enter it. Now I'm looking for other trades because I think some other altcoins might actually pump to the upside. Now, talking about altcoins, I want to show you Bitcoin dominance next because in my opinion, this is now altcoin mania phase of the bull run. And as you can see, Bitcoin is dropping in dominance value 9% already, and we haven't fallen out of this wedge yet. But I do believe that this bull run might have the juice to actually there will be a pump to the upside in the Bitcoin dominance after the WLFI token has launched, by the way. But I think the Bitcoin dominance will want to go to about price level 50, and that will be the end of the altcoin bull run. That's my belief at the moment, but it may obviously not happen. But as of now, altcoins, in my opinion, are not in a bubble territory. I think altcoins have much more upside to go still, at least some certain altcoins. So all in all, altcoins look good. And also when we look at Ethereum on the price chart here, Ethereum has broken out of this double top price pattern here. So we are above it. And on the daily chart, you can see that it is establishing itself above that price range. And also, it broke through this trend line here as well. So now Ethereum is looking to head toward 4.8K in the short term. From there, it might consolidate, and then we look for it to go to above 5K and then beyond that as well, basically by the end of the year. So Ethereum looks extremely strong, but most of its gains have now been realized. So it is not as interesting anymore as it was obviously here at 1.5k, as it was here at 2.5k. Now it's not that interesting anymore. Other altcoins are more interesting in my opinion. And one of the catch-up altcoins for Ethereum is obviously LDO. So once Ethereum starts to really breaking up again, then LDO will be interesting once again. Now, talking about strictly crypto news, let's first talk about WLFI. So three weeks have now passed since WLFI announced that they will make WLFI token tradable. So WLFI, it is the Donald Trump DeFi project that will basically become the central bank of crypto. They released their own stablecoin, and Donald Trump wants everybody in the world to use that stablecoin. It promotes US treasuries, so it's good supposedly for United States, and also it gives him a lot of power in the world even after his presidency. So WLFI is basically his plan to become one of the richest people on the planet. So anyway, that token will become tradable in 3 to 5 weeks from now. But so far, we haven't had the plan to for the release yet. So they promised us that they will give us a plan that basically goes through all of the things regarding the WLFI, the incentives to lock WLFI so it will not dump immediately. All of those things, we haven't seen the details yet. So let's see if this 3 to 5 week plan actually goes still sticks. But all in all, WLFI token will probably release by mid September. So 1 month until it releases. So that is the time frame that we're looking for altcoin pumps. And then there was a huge investment into WLFI. So Alt5 Sigma Corporation has announced a $1.5 billion treasury strategy for WLFI token. And this is completely unprecedented. This is the largest investment into altcoin treasury strategies that I have ever seen. And also, this is unprecedented because WLFI token is not even tradable yet. So we don't even know the market value of WLFI token as of now. But anyway, this company will issue 100 million new shares, and they plan to sell those shares, and then they use the proceeds to buy the WLFI token and lock it for a long-term hold. That is the idea here. So I don't know how much of this will actually come into fruition, but on a face value, because this is a publicly traded company, this will probably take hold, and this investment will flow into WLFI, which means that most likely the valuation of WLFI token market cap will be there in the tens of billions of dollars based on this news here. So WLFI token obviously pumped after this news. So the coin price went from basically 20 cents to 40 cents in a matter of 1 day in the pre-markets. So the WLFI launch looks to be extremely crazy, but when it finally launches, that will be the sell the news event, in my opinion. Everybody has the incentive to pump the crypto markets for now, and retail investors are basically the people that we want to dump on. Then when looking at the Alt5 the share price of Alt5 on the news, or basically going into the news, you can see that the market valuation, the price of the shares went up to $9, and then after this was launched, it dropped to $6.5. So if you have the balls, and then you might actually want to buy this company. But personally, I will not buy this company because we don't know the market valuation of the WLFI tokens, and a lot of the project, the WLFI project itself is a mystery. We don't know their full plan as of now. So that's why this is extremely risky. But if you basically want to get in on the WLFI price, but you don't want to buy it in the pre-markets, then I guess this is one way how you could do it as of now as well. And then we had another altcoin treasury company update, this time coming from the BNB Binance token. So there is now a company called BNC, which is the BNB network company. And they have bought 200,000 BNB tokens valued at $160 million. And this is the first major acquisition in BNC's plan to deploy its initial treasury capital fully into BNB tokens. So initially it had $500 million of investments into the treasury company, and they may access to up to an additional $750 million through its warrant structure, potentially bringing total proceeds to $1.25 billion, which they will use to buy BNB tokens. So again, this may be a potential future $1.1 billion that will flow into the BNB token. So BNB token looks to be one of the good tokens that will pump in the potentially short term as well. So BNB token looks extremely strong in my opinion. Just talking about the leadership of this company, you had a co-founder of Galaxy Digital here, and then you also had the ex-director of Kraken Exchange, Saad Naja, here as well, and a couple of people from 10x Capital. So very hard hitters in this company, and this is no joke. They are serious about this. So that looks to be good for BNB price potential in the future. Then we had an update from Michael Saylor. So he bought 155 Bitcoin, which is only $18 million. So on face value, this looks like diminishing purchases, because last week Saylor did not announce any purchases, and this week only $18 million. But somebody told me in the comments that this purchase is actually coming from the revenue from the actual business, and this is not one of their leveraged debt purchases. So that will come later. So I don't know if that is the case or not, but at face value, it looks diminishing. So this could be a local top signal that no more capital is flowing into crypto, but you could interpret it differently as well. But anyway, $18 million, it is still buying Bitcoin. And then we had another person from called Grant Cardone. So he made this update here saying, calculate the public valuation for a real estate company with $1.1 billion in assets, $400 million in debt, 200 Bitcoin on its balance sheet, and $40 million in recurring annual free cash flow to be converted to buy Bitcoin. We expect to raise 1 billion pre-IPO for Bitcoin acquisitions. So they plan to buy a lot of Bitcoin as well. Grant Cardone, he's a media personality, like a self-help guru, sales marketing guy, and real estate guy as well. So their company plans to buy $1 billion of Bitcoin. So we're still seeing more commitments to buy Bitcoin in the future. So I believe Bitcoin will go up, even though Saylor has had a couple of quiet weeks. And talking about Bitcoin treasury strategies, from now on, I will probably look at this Bitcoin Treasuries.net website for these updates, because here we can see this website is tracking 292 companies as of now, and they obviously update if more will join into the Bitcoin treasury companies list. They track it in different countries as well, and here you can see the total amount of Bitcoin inside these companies. And here you can see the amount of change in the amount of Bitcoin inside these companies in the last 30 days. So I will track this number here. So from week to week, we want this number to be 4%. If it drops below 4%, that's bad. If it's 4%, it's good. As long as it's basically growing exponentially, that is what we want to see. So anyway, this is the website I will be looking at. And none of these companies supposedly want to sell their Bitcoin. That remains to be seen. But as of now, a lot of companies hold Bitcoin. Then there's also this website here, strategicethreserve.xyz, and this is tracking both the ETF and the companies that have Ethereum in their reserves, and also different DeFi projects like Ethereum Foundation, Bit Digital, Golem Foundation, Lido Finance is here as well. So it's tracking different treasury companies. But this chart here is unreliable because many of these companies like Golem Foundation, it has actually held Ethereum since the inception of Ethereum. So it did not enter into this green line here just this year. So it's a little bit misleading. But what we can take here is again the percentage of supply change in the time frame. So this is what I will be tracking in the future. This chart here is unreliable, but when we see this chart here grow, that is basically new purchases, and I believe they are actually new purchases and not just a new company that held Bitcoin or Ethereum already. That was just added into the list here. So I will track this website and this website here in the future. But all in all, we're seeing purchases all around. Then looking at Google Trends, we're seeing retail investors coming here. So when we take a look at the red line here, crypto line, you can see the interest is now the same. It was here in November last year and in December last year. And then obviously in January, we had the crypto top. So now retail investors are back in full force. And I believe this rally will continue until the launch of WLFI token. So we still have a full month left in that mania. So for the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I think altcoins will do extremely well. Now, for sentiment.net, the good news here is that supply of Bitcoin on exchange reserves is practically unchanged, which means that Bitcoin is not flowing into exchanges for people to sell. We're seeing market cap of stablecoins grow about $1 billion since last week. That is obviously good. And then extremely good news is that old investors, old Bitcoin whales are not selling their Bitcoin. There have been no transfers of old Bitcoin basically in August at all. Just a few blips here and there, but compare that to June and July, we're not seeing old whales moving Bitcoin. So most likely Bitcoin wants to go higher according to that fundamental. So fundamentals look good on the long term, and in the short term fundamentals, looking at the liquidation heat map, you can see most of the liquidity is basically above 123k. So most likely we will be heading there, and most likely we will even take out this all-time high here quite soon. So that is basically where we are, in my opinion, headed. There's no liquidity here below the prices. Now, there is quite a bit of liquidity if we go all the way down to 90k or 105k, but it doesn't look like at this time frame Bitcoin wants to go there, unless obviously geopolitically something unexpected happens. And then on the order books, looking at the spot order books, now limit buy orders are entering the order books, which is extremely nice to see after this pullback here. This again signals to me that Bitcoin probably wants to go higher, and there's really nothing else to say here except if you're looking at CoinAnk, this spot order book depth, then you might have been able to actually tap this local top here, 121k, from this chart here as well. And the futures markets agree with spot buyers at the moment. They are buying as well. So all in all, we're seeing buying basically in the short-term fundamentals. So back to the chart here, in my opinion, this line here that I showed you guys, this plan that I've shared with you guys 3 weeks ago, I think this is still in play. So this month we go to 130k, might continue upwards from there, but I do expect a pullback afterwards. So I think we will be heading upwards from here. And Ethereum is not that interesting anymore. Obviously, we broke through the highs here, but just the potential gains for Ethereum are not that interesting as of now. We basically have to knock off that previous all-time high at 4.8k first before Ethereum becomes really interesting. LDO, the same thing. Now looking at other altcoins could be more interesting, like BNB or some other interesting ones, maybe smaller caps related to Ethereum. For example, Beefy Finance, which I shared as in a video some time ago. This valuation here, this is the wrong one, Bifi USD, and I think this is the right one. So the valuation of this coin is only $200 per coin as of now. It dropped for $400 when I made the video. I was wrong on the bull market on that time, unfortunately, but in my opinion, the fundamentals for Beefy are quite strong. So you might pick it up here basically as a late pickup, a small cap play, if you will. It's related to the price of Ethereum because it is a yield aggregator. They make revenue from DeFi. So when the price of Ethereum is high, they make more revenue and they share it with people who stake the Beefy tokens. So Beefy might actually go up here. So some plays like this might be better for this week. I'm not saying that it will definitely pump up, but I can only say that I'm still holding my Beefy tokens. I'm expecting more upside here. And then let's actually go over and talk about geopolitics. First off, I want to say what there's a new law in European Union. So they call it a freedom law, which allows the arresting of journalists if the arrest is in public interest. This is extremely dystopian, but this is now in effect, and it affects my channel as well, because European Union has a way to enforce their will on YouTube because they have viewers from Europe. So it doesn't matter if you are American, if you are Chinese, if you are publishing on YouTube, these laws may affect you. So for example, what I cannot post on YouTube anymore is information on how you can take capital out of EU because that is against public interest. Now, who defines public interest? It is the unelected bureaucrats of European Union because they don't obviously allow European citizens to vote on these things. So unelected bureaucrats decide what is in the public interest, and you taking money out of Europe into a DeFi vehicle that is against public interest. What they want you to do is for you to buy Euro bonds so that you will finance their debt. That is in the public interest of European Union. Now, I could take this to an extreme, but I believe eventually they will crack down on individual people like me reporting on anything really. So that is a new law here. And the other target for this law is nationalism, because nationalism is against the public interest of European Union. If a country has strong nationalistic rhetoric inside its country, then it might vote itself out of the European Union. That is obviously against the public interest of the European Union. So these two things is basically money, how you can earn yield without European Union meddling with your finances outside the banking system, outside their control. They don't want that. Also, they don't want you to criticize European Union. They don't want you to criticize whatever vaccines or any other thing they might develop that is not as safe as they claim it to be. All these kind of things they are now doing. And what is a little bit funny to me is that I got criticism on my last video when I cited the website of Kremlin, when I told you guys what Kremlin said about a meeting. In my opinion, the most trusted source of what Kremlin said is Kremlin itself. Uh, if you read what the Kremlin said from a Western media outlet, from now on, they have to toe the party line. So I don't want the watered down version of what the Russians said. I want what the Russians said. So that's why I use the Kremlin as a source. But that even may become illegal in European Union in the future. So we will see what will happen. But all in all, this is extremely dystopian, and European Union is just marching towards becoming Soviet Union. Basically, it's already in the name. Anyway, that's the first thing. The second thing is the big one, which is that Trump will meet Putin on a Friday in Alaska. And why this is important is if they make peace, that makes people more confident in investing in economy long term. They are more easy to speculate, so it directly affects crypto prices, in my opinion, in a positive manner if there is peace. Also, it is good that if they don't even agree on Ukraine, if they at least agree on nuclear treaty, that will be extremely good for us. So at the bare minimum, I hope they talk about the nuclear treaties, that they will not get into a nuclear arms race again, like we saw in the Cold War era. So hopefully that will be the case. And it is interesting that this is taking place in Alaska because Alaska is part of United States. And Putin is completely sanctioned in Europe, so he cannot go anywhere in Europe. He is sanctioned by the International Court, uh, 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 which European Union is subscribing to. So this is basically kind of like a middle finger against the European Union as well, on the part of Trump, that the White House will host Vladimir Putin, who is a war criminal, who is sanctioned by Europe, who is basically their enemy. Now he's freely going into the soil of the United States. But I just think this is a good thing that they do meet. And Trump says here is quite interesting. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, I have to get constitutional approval, basically to talk about land swapping. Trump said he has approval to go to war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there will be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody. So Trump is ready to basically recognize some parts of Ukraine as Russian. Zelensky already came out that he's not ready to make these concessions. And Europe is now having a crisis meeting on Wednesday, and they have invited Trump to join the emergency virtual talk with EU leaders and Zelensky on Wednesday. Now, I don't think Trump will go to that meeting because it will just mess up with his head. It will mess up with his plan, and he will basically only hear criticism from the EU leaders if he goes into this call. So it's basically useless at this stage because he already knows what they're gonna say. But I hope he will go there anyway, so he will be able to hopefully get these people on board, and they will have some unified position on peace. But if there will be peace between Ukraine and Russia, most likely, again, like I said earlier, Russia will have most of their demands met because unfortunately, Ukraine, Europe, and United States have not been able to enforce their rules on Putin. They have not been able to uh, stop Russian advancement, and as of now, I believe the casualty rate between Russia and Ukraine uh, significantly favors Russia, despite whatever the laws and the politicians, the media says in their reporting in the Western news. As we know, these news are not reliable. The best source for information is independent outlets, and then you also want to contrast that with whatever Russians say, and then you want to contrast to whatever the Westerners say, and then you want to make up your own mind about all of these things. Now, if you want to support this individual person here, consider subscribing to this channel, like the video, and all in all, hopefully there will at least be nuclear peace talks here. If that is the case, then I believe it will be further fuel for Bitcoin. But let's see how things go from here. That's it for this update. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys on the next one, and bye bye.